All righty, welcome back for another episode of Two Plane Sports. We're here for another kind of an assortment of topics that we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about a new hire in Matt Wells and what this means for the Sooners. A little bit of spring practice talk as we're recording this on Tuesday. It was the first day of spring practices. A little bit about some recruiting, upcoming visits this weekend. We're just going to talk about a few. We've got another video coming out later this week to talk more about kids that are coming this weekend. It's going to be a giant weekend. But before we want to get into it, just want to say we really appreciate it. We're knocking on the door of 3,700 subscribers. Help us get us there. I think we're like 30 short as we're recording this. Hit the subscribe button. It's free. It helps grow the channel, helps get more people like you in here to talk and bring in different perspectives. And we really like seeing your different opinions. Like the video. It also helps attract more people to this channel and suggest it. It's free. It helps us out a whole lot. We all three have regular jobs, and this is our side deal, and we just want to keep growing it, and it would really help us out a lot. Follow us on Twitter, Instagram, like us on Facebook. Everything's at Two Plane Sports, Apple Podcasts, and Spotify. If you don't want to look at Jose's drink his coffee, I don't blame you. Go find that everything's linked below. Another thing that we're doing a ticket giveaway for the spring game. We're giving away 3 more pairs of tickets. 2 pairs will be of general admission and 1 will be at the club level. We already gave 1 pair away, and we've got 3 more coming. So if you want to enter, you'll have to stay. And towards the end with Brandon's in a video challenge, basically it's going to come down to liking the video, subscribing, turn on that notification bell so you can keep up whenever we post. Like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter, and basically just comment that you did that, and then you'll do the end of video challenge. So you want to stay at the very end. Brandon will give you the challenge and done, and you do all that. So basically, like I said, today's video is kind of all over the place. Matt Wells, for anyone that doesn't know, he's originally from Sallisaw, Oklahoma, grew up in the state of Oklahoma. He was once the head coach of Utah State for about 5 years, from 2013 to 2018. He was most recently Texas Tech's head coach from 2019 to 2021. He had a departure middle of last season. It seemed really off to me why he was let go. I don't really know if there was ever a true reasoning coming out about him. I felt like it was a really abrupt letting him go, but it is what it is. He was hired to work in the high school relations program that Venables and his staff have developed. And essentially what it is developing and maintaining great relationships with high school coaches and high school athletic directors across the country. Something that OU has never had, or at least recently with Lincoln Riley. And I really think it's a good step. Matt Wells must have wanted to come home. I feel like that's a great guy to add. He obviously knows how to recruit. I think, Jose, you said before, he was the one who recruited Jordan Love. He knows how to recruit. He's an offensive guy. I think he's going to help out that department tremendously with the relationships, because he's recruiting the same guys being at Texas Tech. So it's not going to be brand new to him. Brandon, what do you think about Matt Wells and what he's going to bring to the program in the long-term outlook?
Yeah, Matt Wells, first of all, when you look him up and you know a little bit about him already, he was a 2-time Mountain West Coach of the Year, 2013-2018. And he's got like a 57-51 overall head coaching record, 2-2 in bowl games. So he's a little over 500 coach, 500 bowl game, a couple-time Mountain West Coach of the Year. He won the Mountain West in 2013. So he has his own accolades as far as coaching goes. And as Jose and you guys just mentioned, he recruited Jordan Love, a tremendous college player, probably a guy who's never going to see a lick in the NFL, but that's not for this show. When it comes to this position, I love it. I think it's awesome. It's just taking recruiting to another level, essentially, to where, because these kids that we're recruiting obviously are going to have strong relationships with these high school coaches, administrators, ADs in high school, whatever. And Matt Wells, essentially what I'm gathering from this position, without knowing too much about it, he's kind of just making friends and staying close with all of these guys, building trust, building a relationship with these high school coaches and administrators and ADs, and, making just forming that strong relationship, getting trust with each other. And then he's going to kind of pull them out as references in the recruiting game. It's more or less what it sounds like to me. And it's an awesome position for us to have at OU. I think it's going to be very beneficial. I'm all on board for it.
Yeah. It's going to be a cool team to kind of keep track of over the coming years. I definitely would expect to see a lot of turnover there every single year. I saw someone tweet out, and I don't know who it was, but whenever this hire of Matt Wells was announced, that this might be the beginning of the Brent Venables coaching rehab, kind of like Nick Saban has at Bama. And I think, at first I kind of, shoved it off, kind of thinking, it's us OU fans kind of being super high on the program right now, which is fine. But I think that program will attract a lot of veteran head coaches or veteran coaches and coordinators to come to Oklahoma and learn under Brent Venables, especially with the success that we all expect him to have. Because it will help establish their relationships with a lot of high schools, which is always a good thing to have as a head coach in college football. And two, they'll get to learn from someone that is hopefully succeeding at a very high level. So I would expect to start seeing a lot of guys like Matt Wells, who maybe was kind of rushed out of his previous employer, to come learn under Brent, learn under Levy or whoever's going to be the coordinators at the time, just to be ready for their next opportunity. Because at the end of the day, the reason I expect a lot of turnover there is because those guys at some point will get opportunities to move on as coordinators or position coaches, and maybe even head coaches, depending on what their previous positions were before the high school relations position at OU. And they're going to utilize those connections that they made, like Brandon just mentioned. They're going to get the opportunity to make a lot of friends, network widely in a region of the country, more than likely. So then Oklahoma is going to have to reload and either try to reestablish that connection with a different person, or look for different relations to establish somewhere else in a different part of the country. At the end of the day, I think Brent is going to be as involved as he can be with that program, because he is a head coach, but you need guys like Wells to help open that door to some some high schools, especially smaller ones, probably, that don't get as many looks as the big, Texas, California, Florida, everywhere around the country, the big high schools that get all the big name recruits.
Yeah, I think there's a couple really cool benefits of it. Again, having more people on staff to be analysts and communicate's always good. But something that I think is interesting to think about, when you develop these relationships with these high school coaches, they have tremendous sway a lot of times on kids' decisions on where they're going to go play. Another thing is, if there's a kid that's been overlooked and he's tremendous, but he's just not getting picked up on the recruiting scene, if they have that established relationship, the high school coach might pick up the phone and say, you got to check this kid out. And you might be able to find some diamonds in the rough otherwise you wouldn't be able to without this relationship. So I think it could work both ways, where coaches, if they know you're going to a good program, a good people to grow you and whatnot, they're going to be more likely to push their kids there rather than someone they don't even really know. And then also helping out finding underrated kids. I think that could be a big benefit to the whole program. So is any fun?
Sorry. Yeah. As far as recruiting goes, like for Oklahoma, I think it's a home run. It's a home run hire. It's a home run position. It's awesome. I'd be curious. And I think Host kind of talked about a little bit, is as far as the rehab program goes and stuff like that. Yeah, it makes sense. But like for Wells, as a guy who's a little bit better than 500 and over 100 games of head coaching, been to 4 bowl games, 2, Mountain West Coaches of the Year, which, the Mountain West is not the greatest conference in the world, but still only one coach wins that award every year, and he's done it twice. I would be very curious to know how much he will be involved in the actual football process of the team, of the Sooners. Because I just feel like he could have got a coaching job somewhere in some capacity. And I'm curious to know, if at all, if his involvement with actual play calling. Not. I doubt he's calling the plays, but like maybe like installing plays or working with the quarterbacks or things like that. I wonder how hands-on he is in the actual coaching part of the game, because I can't imagine he would just take this job to strictly help with Oklahoma recruiting.
Maybe he comes in as like a quality control assistant at some point for quarterbacks. That seemed to be like what he was specializing in. I think you said he played quarterback when he was a player way back when. So, I mean, it's a possibility. At that point, it would be him, reaching out just like anyone else to Lebby and saying like, hey, can I help you with, or showing him like, hey, I saw a couple of these things are in practice when I was walking by on film, whatever, putting his 2 cents in to get that upgrade or promotion.
That's kind of what I figured too. He's got to be able to have that kind of freedom or liberty to be like, hey man, so like I'm watching practice, watching tape, I noticed this and pointed out, and Lebby and stuff can be like, oh hey, cool, and we can implement kind of stuff. I'm just saying he's got to have some sort of, even if it's a very minute or small amount, he's got to be somewhat involved in the actual coaching part of this. Otherwise, I can't imagine why he would do this position.
Here's a hot take and a crazy theory. What happens is if he's the OC plan after Lebby leaves, if he gets a head coaching job somewhere? I don't know. I have no reason to believe, but if he hung around for a couple of years and Lebby gets a Power 5 job and he leaves, he might have a shot. I don't know. It's just kind of a crazy idea if he's thinking more long term. And also, OU probably pays, even analysts, probably pretty competitive salaries compared to like defensive coordinator for a smaller school, if not more. So that might also play into it.
Not a crazy theory though, if he does stick around for a while, because let's just play that scenario out. Lebby leaves, gets a head coaching job, more than likely takes a couple of the current position coaches. Hopefully he doesn't take them all, or more than one. But I mean, most times when that happens, they'll take a couple of guys. We'll need to either refill or completely revamp that position, that group, and Matt Wells could have a whole bunch of guys coming in ready to go for him. So, I mean, it's definitely possible. I feel like he's just really far down the line in that list right now, because you got Joe Finley, you've got Murray, Coach B, if he's ever interested in doing something like that. So,
Kale.
Yeah, Cale Gundy. Yeah, there's a lot. There are a lot of names ahead of him, but it's potential. But maybe he's just wanting to take a step back and have a little less responsibility, spend more time with family. That could be possible too. So we'll move on to some spring practice talk. Man, like Brandon's sign says, football back. Not football is back, football back. So really just kind of reading some pictures and some videos off of social media, it seemed a lot more intense. It seemed like every minute was spent with a purpose. It wasn't kind of, yoga and Pilates and stretching and everything else. They seemed to be on a mission. Billy Bowman and Key Lawrence looked pretty jacked. They look like they put on some weight. Nick Evers probably going to be quarterback too. He looks pretty good. He's been posting videos of him working out and stuff, so it doesn't surprise me that he looked good again today. I mean, Dylan Gabriel, he looked like he was spinning the ball. He wearing that new helmet with the built-in visor. It looked odd, but I mean,
I was going to say, can we talk about the helmet just for a second? Because that thing was different.
Yeah, it was definitely different, but I guess it's one of a new helmet that helps prevent against concussions, and I don't know, it's just different. I wonder if we're going to see more kids wear it. So I also, looking at it with the built-in visor, I wonder if his vision's a little bit better.
That's what I was going to say. I feel like it definitely at least helps a little bit getting those bars out of the way on the side and at the top. Maybe that's probably his reasoning for wearing it, because all helmets are kind of built to prevent concussions. They can only do so much,
Yeah. Some interesting notes that I thought I would like to hear your opinions on. Basically summarizing what Alex Grinch used to call the defense as and what Venables has right now. So there are reports saying that basically Grinch ran essentially 4 plays as the defensive coordinator at OU. 4 plays, which is hard for me to even wrap my mind around. But Venables now already has 20, 25 variations of personnel. several different fronts, unique blitzes, just a whole overhaul, probably a lot more complicated system that he's going all for it. And he's basically bringing everything from Clemson to here and not doing it gradually. It's 0 to 100. It doesn't surprise me that Grinch basically ran 4 plays. We all did, and it was painful at times. Jose, what do you think about spring practice? Grinch running 4 plays and anything else that you saw?
So if those reports are true, it wouldn't, like you said, it's not surprising. He's pretty young, coming from Ohio State, and his entire concept when he first came in, and like one of his biggest selling points was, I want to make sure that my guys can just play instinctually and run fast. That's where the whole concept of speed D came out, right? So 4 plays is not a hard thing to remember, especially probably coming out of high school where they probably ran more than 4 plays. If they're from a bigger program like in Allen, Texas, I'm sure they're running maybe 6 plays, more than Oklahoma did under Grinch. But it is a good sign that that's something that was identified by Coach Venables, and obviously he was upgrading. We all knew he was going to implement a completely new system, but I mean, these guys are now having to actually learn. We'll see. Pretty much it'll be the quickest adapters. I think will be the ones that are going to be on the field the earliest. But we'll see how it goes, because that was a reason why Grinch was hired, right? Lincoln thought that the previous defensive coordinator was just too complicated for some of these guys, and maybe he was just bad at communicating. And then Grinch was just the polar opposite, which was too simple, and he needed to add more intricacies to his defense. So, I mean, it's obviously going to work out. Coach Venables is one of the best defensive coordinators in college football, and he's going to make sure that the defense is going to be top notch.
Well, however many plays Alex Grinch had in his defense, it was sorry as shit. The Kansas Jayhawks shredded the hell out of it. How many times did we see that defense get shredded after we thought it might be something? Yeah, it was sorry, whatever it was. The whole 4-play thing is a wild concept to me. First of all, how did Venables and company even find out that there were 4 plays, or that we were only running 4 plays? Did they leave behind some sort of playbook in some locker somewhere, and they're like, oh, they just stumbled upon it and they found, oh wow, they only ran 4 plays? Or were they talking to guys who were on the defense last year? Because imagine if they really did only run 4 plays, and Brent Venables obviously has all these different intricacies and blitz packages and dozens of plays already being drawn up or being implemented into this playbook. It would be like shell shock for these players who played last year under Grinch. If there really were 4 plays, they'd be like, what the hell? This is like quadruple what we did last year. And we're only at the first practice of spring. The only thing, so with the whole, like I said, no matter what, however many plays he did have installed or whatever, it was sorry. That's the best way to describe it. It was not speed. It was sorry. Sorry D is what Alex Grinch and the USC Trojans get to look forward to, or USC fans get to look forward to for, however long they're there, which probably not very long. I bet Lincoln Riley's there a couple years and then he goes to the NFL or something, because that guy sucks. But I'm curious to see how does the whole 4-play development thing even come out? Where, you know what I mean? How do we know this? Like, where does this come from?
You probably, if you're really thinking about it, you could probably just throw on the film, and any coach. I mean, I can't say I can sit there and watch film and be able to tell you everything, because I couldn't. But I basically think it came from ex-player or current players or graduated players, basically saying it's 4 plays. And
you do have Jeremiah Cradell on the staff who played for him last year, who could be like, hey, coach, we might just slightly have to slow down on these dozens of plays you're implementing, because last year we ran 4. And if he said that, I imagine Brent Venables was like, what the hell are you talking about? And he was like, nah, dude, straight up, we ran 4 plays last year on defense. And Brent Venables was probably thinking, that's why you guys suck so bad on defense. And
oh gosh, I mean, I'm just thinking about if you're an offensive coordinator, you throw on the film and you see 4 plays, like, okay, well, you got the safeties high here. This is what they're going to run. And you just got to know 4 things. And it's just crazy.
It would explain why they started getting toasted a lot last year, because the year before, it really started looking up. It looked like, we found the right guy to lead the defense. And then last year, it just took a quick tank to the bottom.
Yeah. Or maybe it's like some games that were really good, so they put in 4 new plays. And then they would run it for a few games. I don't know. Anyway,
that's just ridiculous.
That's
too much.
It also explains why, like, we're seeing like a guy like Perrion, who we all expected to have a big season last year, not perform to the expectations, but then he goes to the Senior Bowl, and now you got scouts in the NFL talking about how dominant this guy could be at the pro level. Like, there's definitely
Ryan Asamoah did
happening. Yeah. So
yeah,
not ideal.
Perrion's not going to be a first-round pick because of his total season play. He probably would have been a 3rd-round pick, but that Senior Bowl made him a lot of money. So, great. Yeah, I just thought I'd throw that in there and get your guys' opinion. So we're going to do a little bit of recruiting, go through about 4 guys, kind of go over a few varying things. Micah Tease, 5'11", 180 pound. He used to be just an athlete. Now is a wide receiver out of Tulsa, Oklahoma, from Booker T. Washington. 2023 4-star wide receiver, number 173 overall. Younger brother Miles Tease, who was once a Sooner wide receiver. He has made the decision he wants to be a wide receiver at the collegiate level, and the Sooners are recruiting him as a defensive back. The question is going to be with him is, will his desire to play at OU be greater than his desire to play as a wide receiver? Or will the Sooners win out and be able to recruit him as a defensive back, because that's where Venables and Valai and all them see him playing, and previous staff did as well. Seems like Notre Dame, Clemson, and Michigan are in on him. I'd imagine Arkansas is too. I think Texas isn't looming a little bit as well, as kind of a dark horse. So that's kind of where Micah Tease is sitting at. Jose, do you have anything to mention about Micah Tease or what you think about him?
Yeah, I was going to say that I feel like Arkansas is going to have a big lead on him if wide receiver is his, like, if that's where he's focusing. I feel like Arkansas is going to end up taking him. Which, I mean, it's unfortunate because it really seemed like Oklahoma had a huge head start on that recruitment. But if he wants to do it, it's the decision he gets to make, and best of luck. But hopefully he still considers Oklahoma, because he's a very talented player. And I don't know, maybe the coaches decide, because at the end of the day, we don't know how transfer portal is going to be, injuries, people that are going to leave just from graduation. So maybe coaches change their mind a little later on in the year and say, all right, we're open to taking you as a wide receiver. We'll see.
Yeah, I mean, kind of disagree with those. It's a tough blow if, in fact, he's dead set on playing receiver and Oklahoma's dead set on him playing DB, and that's the reason we lose out on him. But if that is the case, I mean, if the kid wants to play receiver, the kid wants to play receiver. There's not much you can do about it. Best of luck to him if he does still want to play receiver and it can't be at Oklahoma. Maybe Gentry can still recruit him and switch his mind, or maybe the coaches change their mind, like Coach said, with the transfer portal or injuries or whatever might happen. And maybe Oklahoma decides to give him a look at receiver. There's still a lot of time left in his recruitment process, so we'll kind of just see how it plays out.
And maybe look out for like a Tennessee to come in and try to take someone like that after they just got their future at quarterback in the 23 class.
Yeah. Isn't that kid's last name? I forget what it is. Leavin or something like that. I forget what that kid's name is.
It's difficult, harder than Tua's. And whenever he gets to college and the announcers start screwing it up like 10 times during his first season, then we'll figure out what the real pronunciation is.
That's true. So we'll see. We'll keep an eye on Micah Tease. My gut's telling me that OU, basically where Venables sees you playing and the staff sees you playing and where they want you, that's it. Because you saw it with Gabriel Brownlow-Dindy. At Clemson, they saw him as an interior defensive tackle only, and refuse to give him the option of playing defensive end and defensive tackle, kind of a hybrid. And that cost Clemson any interest. So I feel like when the staff identifies where they want you, that's it. And if you don't want to play, that's fine. Go wherever you want. So I'd imagine OU won't budge, but I could be wrong.
That'll end up being not a downfall, but every recruiting method has a pro and con, and just the pro for Lincoln's recruiting is he'll give you the opportunity or whatever, but that's also can be a hindrance because then he can't develop fully at the position he would prefer you at. But this staff clearly knows what they want, and if you're not going to fit that mold, it's not going to work for anyone. So it might as well split there.
Yeah. So a couple kids that are coming in for this big recruiting weekend. This junior day this weekend is going to be massive. There are a boatload of 4 and 5 stars between the 2023 and 2024 classes. It's insane. We're just going to talk about 3 of them that are coming this weekend in this video. We're definitely coming out with one more this week. We might do maybe do an extra one as well. We might do a total of 2 more this week because there are so many kids to talk about. But we'll get going on the early visitors. Makari Vickers. He is 6'1", 180 pounds as a cornerback out of Tallahassee, Florida. So in the heart of Knowles, FSU, 2023 4-star, number 80 overall, and number 5 cornerback. He's planning on arriving as this is being released today, Wednesday, the 23rd, and he's planning on leaving on Sunday. He's going to attend a few OU spring practices. He's going to attend this Saturday recruiting event. What exactly they're doing, I don't know, but I'm sure they've got something in store for all these kids coming in town. It's quite a long visit, coming in on a Sunday or coming on a Wednesday and leaving on a Sunday. That's a long time. And I mean, that's a good sign, obviously. It seems like Jay Valai is his lead recruiter, and he's doing a great job on him. The fact that this is his first visit and getting a kid out of Tallahassee, a defensive back, to get on campus and get interested, I mean, it speaks for itself. I'm not going to lie. I haven't watched much on Makari Vickers. He just kind of popped up on the radar, but the talent seems to be off the charts. He's gotten offers from all the big SEC schools. Brandon, what do you think about Vickers and maybe the implications of his upcoming visit?
He's great size, 6'1", 180, as you mentioned. He's also a track star. So he's a 2-sport athlete. Obviously, the guy has burners running. He runs the 200. I can't remember the other event he runs, but he's obviously a track star. And then, as I mentioned last episode, and it's not the end all be all when it comes to recruiting, but one of the things that I legitimately look at, and there's a reason for it, I think, who's been the best team in college football without a shadow of any doubt for the last decade?
Nick Saban in Alabama.
Yeah, Nick Saban in Alabama, right? Nick Saban in Alabama offered this kid. If he gets the Nick Saban stamp of approval, the Alabama stamp of approval, and they want him, I'm interested. It's almost that easy for me. His tape is good. He's instinctual. He's fast. 2-sport athlete. Great size for a DB. But he also has that second thing that I look for in these recruiting topics is he's also got the Nick Saban stamp of approval, which, I mean, Nick Saban, and as I mentioned, it's not the end all be all. It's not everything when it comes to recruiting, and we should be looking at our own kids because, some of these preferred walk-ons that we offered, Nick Saban didn't even look at, and they're probably going to be very good players for us. But just as a general rule of thumb, just from what Nick Saban has done in the past decade at Alabama, if he likes a player, they're probably pretty good, and it's never a bad sign, I don't think.
That Nick Saban stamp of approval is probably why we're getting a visit from him, especially such a long visit, because we are so far behind in his recruitment already. And Valais probably has an established relationship with him since Alabama has been recruiting him for a while now. But it seems like we're a little behind with him. I checked out some of the recruiting websites, and On3 predicts he's going to be a Seminole. but Bama's like close behind, but not super close, but close enough where they could have probably made up the ground, and they probably will. So the fact that this is a long visit, I think, is a plus because he'll get to see what to expect if he does come to Oklahoma, what the practices, gets to meet all the coaches, not just Valai, but he'll have that he'll get to reconnect with the guy that was probably recruiting him hard and the guy that will be his position coach if he does come to Oklahoma.
Yeah. Vickers, I looked at his, he's recently visited Tallahassee, Florida State a couple times this year so far. So obviously being in the same city, that has to help with Florida State having the upper hand. But you're right. Jay Valai was his lead recruiter, and that's definitely probably the reason why we're getting a visit out of him. Good to see. I'm glad he's coming on campus for a while. It'll be interesting to see if he sets up another visit for either this summer or this fall after this long 4 or 5 days. Another guy, now this guy we've talked about a decent amount is Derek Leblanc, 6'4", 270-pound defensive lineman out of Kissimmee, Florida. As I once said, Kissimmee, Florida. 2023 4-star defensive lineman, number 87 overall, number 11 defensive lineman in the class. He visited OU the last weekend in January for the first time because of Todd Bates and Venables, because he was trending towards Clemson. And then the staff leaves, goes to Oklahoma. He takes a quick visit out to the Sooners. And it really seems like this has turned into, at first it was a Clemson Ohio State. Now it's turned in from OU to a Clemson battle, which I mean OU Ohio State, because Clemson basically became Oklahoma in his mind. And now it's Oklahoma and Florida. He's visited Florida with the new staff 3 times since January. He's been twice this month already to see the Gators. And I would imagine, kind of from what I've read, it seems like he's leaning towards the Gators, going into this visit. If they knock it out of the park with this visit, I could very well see him leaning back towards OU. I really think this is going to go back and forth between Oklahoma and Florida now, as his top two schools. Jose, what do you think about LeBlanc? And his visit actually is going to start Thursday night. He's getting here Thursday night and leaving Monday. So he's going to be here for a while as well.
Yeah. We're going to need to step it up on him and just do what Brum calls a full court press, and making sure that we're able to keep constant communication. Because Florida staff is starting to pull off some big wins for that program. The one that they took from Oklahoma and Chris McClellan. It's kind of reminding me of that battle, but hopefully this time the Gators don't come out on top, because Derek would be a great addition for that 23 class. It seems like it's going to be loaded at the defensive line position as of right now. So hopefully this is at least a visit that can get him back to a 50-50 position where he's not going to want to commit anytime soon, because if the Gators do have that big of a lead, I would expect to hear something about his commitment, sometime middle to late summer, because he'll probably be visiting Florida a lot since he's closer to that area of the country.
I think Florida absolutely sucks, and nobody wants to do the stupid chomp thing. So he needs to reconsider Florida in general, because they're stupid and their colors suck. It's their stadium. They kind of a cool stadium, I can't lie, but it's swampy and it's foggy and it's not. And plus, like, Florida's a cool state, but Gainesville sucks probably. I've never been, but like it's not like, I can't imagine it's a cool spot. Like, are you even by beaches and stuff? Like, what do you do in Gainesville? It's just, I don't know shit about Gainesville except it probably sucks. But I get excited talking about these defensive line that we have coming up or visiting. Obviously, we're all on Levius watch at the moment. There's a lot going on with him. We're still hoping he makes it to campus on the 23rd of April, because if he does, he'll be a Sooner. We've talked about that on the show a bunch. T.A. Cunningham, David Hicks. Add LeBlanc to the list, because he's got everything that the other guys have. He's got great size in that 6'4", 6'5", 270. But the dude also had 15 sacks last year, 17 tackles for loss. I do think the Todd Bates effect, as we've reiterated over and over again in this show, is going to pay dividends for Oklahoma in this process. And yeah, again, Florida sucks. Don't go to Gainesville. It's just, have you guys been to Gainesville? Is it actually fun? I just can't imagine it's a good place.
I've never been. Haven't had a reason to, but now with the OU joining the SEC, might have to make a trip to Gainesville one of these years. So yeah, the Todd Bates effect is very real with LeBlanc. Another guy that it's very real on is Caden Mcdonald, 6'3", 310-pound defensive lineman out of Swanee, Georgia. 2023 4-star, number 215 overall, and number 30 defensive lineman in the class. Really, he's arriving on campus early Friday morning, leaving late Sunday night. This was the quote asking about OU and why he's interested. And this is what he said: "It's Coach Bates all the way. He was recruiting me at Clemson, and then he got this new job. I'm excited about him. I just want to learn more about Oklahoma." So literally the only reason why McDonald is interested is because of Todd Bates. And this is not even, I guarantee you there's more than just McDonald that are like this. I'm sure LeBlanc's the same way, but he just flat out said, this is why I'm interested. Jose, any thoughts on that? I mean, I think that's huge. It's already paying dividends. He's coming on campus.
It's the Todd Bates effect. We've said it once and we're going to say it until he leaves this program, which is hopefully never. But yeah, I mean, we're going to hear from a lot of recruits over the next probably couple recruiting classes. I would assume Clemson started definitely on 23, and maybe some really talented players from Florida, that area of the country, the southeast area of the country, recruiting for 24. So, I mean, we're not going to hear those kind of comments. We're going to hear those kind of comments a lot over the next couple of recruiting classes, more than likely.
According to 24/7, so he's obviously, this kid weighs over 300 pounds. He's 6'3", 310, as Brum mentioned. According to 24/7, the stat page, this dude had 62 tackles for loss last year, and 20 of them were sacks. For his career, is over 90 tackles for loss and like 30-something sacks. For a kid who weighs 310 pounds to be living in a backfield like that, it's a scary thought. Because if a 300-plus pounder is in the backfield and you're a running back, you're not winning that battle. If you're a quarterback, you're not winning that battle. Just fall down, make a business decision, don't tear your ACL. That's kind of what it comes down to. If he's got a head of steam in the backfield, you're not going to win. And it just adds to the defensive line fun that's kind of going on in Oklahoma since we've seen Bates come in. If we don't, we're obviously probably not going to land every single one of these defensive line prospects that we're talking about or that are visiting. But if this dude can pull off half of them or a little over half of them, that's going to be a ridiculous amount of scary defensive line talent coming to Norman.
Yeah, the long-term outlook might start to turn into where defensive linemen are going to have to start rushing to commit. First come, first serve.
Can you imagine if we can just get it to where it's that? Sure, if you're an elite defensive lineman or an elite offensive lineman, and Oklahoma is the place that you have to rush to get, the natties will be coming, boys. The natties will be coming.
Even if the place to rush to commit is Alabama, Ohio State, and Oklahoma, 3 places, there's more than enough talented kids to go to all 3 programs. And Clemson will get it as well. But so that's all I've got as far as for this video. We've got a couple, 1 or maybe 2. We're going to try for 2 more recruiting videos this week. Brandon, do you have your end of video challenge so these people can enter into the ticket contest?
Yeah, absolutely. So obviously at the spring game, Brum and I will be at O'Connell's Norman, one of our favorite spots for game days, and kind of just in general while we were in college. It's a good place to be. When you were bar hopping in college, it was never the busiest ones. You can kind of walk in there and get you a couple cold ones and, kind of call it a night or hang out there as long as you want. They also do karaoke night. I thought I was going to get discovered while I was in college, and then I wouldn't be hanging out with you guys. I'd be, going on tour. But unfortunately, I was never good enough, and here we are. We're still buds. So O'Connell's is where Brum and I will be. Unfortunately, Jose will be in Phoenix. Where is your guys' go-to? It's for you game day goers, because I imagine we have a lot of you who watch our show and listen to our show. Do make it to games. Where is your go-to campus corner spot? Are we going to Fuzzy's? Are we going to Valaire? Are we going to Pepe's? Just comment your game day go-to? Are you going to Logie's, Louie's? What is it?
Yeah.
Where's your game day spot?
Yeah, game day spot. Make sure that you hit the like button, you subscribe, you turn on the notification bell, you follow us on Twitter and like us on Facebook, and you do the indie video challenge on your game day go-to spot. We're almost at 3,700 subscribers. Help us get us there. Follow us on Twitter, Instagram, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, like us on Facebook, everything at Two Plane Sports linked in the description below. We've got some more recruiting videos coming up this week, and be sure to check those out. We'll catch you next time.